Welcome in. Today we're stepping into, well, kind of a scary world, really.
Yeah.
Gleaming towers, yeah, but also subterranean secrets. We're taking a deep dive into Thea von Harbou's Metropolis, and we're not just talking plot.
Oh, no.
Definitely not. This deep dive is about, well, uncovering the layers of meaning kind of woven into this iconic story.
Right. And it's fascinating how Metropolis, written way back in 1925, still feels, I don't know, eerily relevant today.
Yeah.
It's like von Harbou tapped into these timeless anxieties about technology, how fast it's advancing, and that growing gap between the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah, it's that stark contrast that grabs you right from the first page.
Absolutely.
On one hand, you have the privileged elite just kind of floating through life in their, what are they called, glittering skyscrapers.
Yeah.
And von Harbou really goes all in on the imagery. She describes their world with these, I don't know, almost mythical, larger-than-life details.
Right.
But then you descend into the depths of the city.
And it's like entering a completely different world, right?
Oh, completely.
The workers, they exist in this shadowy subterranean world. It's like their humanity's practically stripped away.
That's almost claustrophobic just reading about it.
Yeah, and they're described as like cogs in a machine, you
Yeah.
know? Their individuality just erased by identical uniforms and that constant, relentless rhythm of the machines they're always operating.
Endless lines of men, their faces described as 1,000 years old, marching to the beat of this industrial heart.
And that's where von Harbou's real genius shines through, I think. She's not just describing a futuristic city, she's holding up a mirror to us, to the dehumanizing effects of a society, sharply divided by class.
Oh, yeah.
You can practically feel the weight of their exhaustion, the lack of sunlight, the sheer monotony of their existence.
Yeah, and then we meet Freder, who, at least at first, seems totally unaware of this whole other half of Metropolis. He's young, living the luxurious high life, until he stumbles into the depths of the workers' city. And it's his encounter with the workers' children that really hits him the hardest, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Those children, they become this powerful symbol of innocence, completely at the mercy of the system they're born into. Remember that line, "Look, these are your brothers"?
Oh, yeah.
It's a condemnation of the elite, of their obliviousness to the suffering that fuels their comfortable lives. And for Freder, it's a complete awakening, and it makes you wonder what moments in our own lives have forced us to confront uncomfortable truths.
It's a question that lingers throughout the entire novel, isn't it? And for Freder, that encounter fuels his fascination with Maria, this, I don't know, almost ethereal figure who captivates everyone with her message of hope and, I guess, finding a bridge between these two worlds.
Right, Maria. She's fascinating because she represents the possibility of change, of healing this deep societal rift. And von Harbou describes her in almost divine terms. She describes her voice like the amen of God.
Wow.
It's like she embodies the very spirit of mediation and understanding that Metropolis so desperately needs.
Yet, standing in stark contrast to Maria is Joh Fredersen, Freder's father, the mastermind behind Metropolis. Talk about a tough cookie. He embodies this cold, calculating approach to progress. Everything is about control, order, efficiency. For him, humanity is practically just another resource to be managed.
And that's where we see the danger of technology, especially when it's taken to an extreme. Fredersen sees the machines as the solution. He completely overlooks the human cost of this unbridled progress. He's so focused on maintaining order, on keeping the wheels turning, that he loses sight of the individuals, the ones caught in the machinery.
And that's where our boy Rotwang enters the picture. This guy is a wild card, a brilliant inventor, but driven by this deep-seated rivalry with Joh Fredersen. And he decides the best way to, shake things up is to create a machine woman, Futura, designed to sow chaos in Metropolis.
But, and here's the twist, he models Futura after Maria.
Talk about adding fuel to the fire. And let's be honest, this can't end well. This city's already teetering on the brink, and Rotwang just tossed in like a highly advanced, very manipulative wrench into the works.
And that's what makes Metropolis so compelling. It's not just a futuristic adventure story, it's a cautionary tale about technology and how it can be used for both good and evil.
Especially when you have characters driven by obsession, like Rotwang. Speaking of which, how does he even get away with building this machine woman? Does nobody question him?
Well, that's part of what makes Rotwang such a compelling character, right? He operates in this shadowy space between genius and madness. Von Harbou even describes his house as this creepy, almost gothic structure. Like, there's this rumor that it was built by a magician. Okay, that's just cool. It's like even in this super modern city, There are these echoes of something ancient, something mystical, something that even technology can't quite erase.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And that duality is woven throughout the entire novel. You have the hyper-efficiency of all these machines set against the, I don't know, the enduring power of human emotions.
Hmm.
Love, fear, despair. Take, for instance, the legend of the bell in the workers'
Oh,
city.
yeah, the bell. It's this potent symbol of hope for the workers, right?
Oh.
But it was also cast by this master craftsman who, according to legend, suffered a gruesome death for his artistry.
Exactly. That legend speaks to the sacrifices that have been made, throughout history in the name of progress. It's like von Harbou is asking us, what price are we willing to pay for advancement? And are we repeating the mistakes of the past, even as we strive for a better future? Something to think about. It's a question that haunts Frater throughout the novel. He's grappling with the weight of his own family's legacy, the sacrifices made by all those who built Metropolis. And then there's Lang and his motives. This isn't just about professional rivalry, is it?
No, not at all.
He has a thing for Maria too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Rotwang's obsession with Maria is like this driving force behind his actions. Creating Futura isn't just about sowing chaos. It's about trying to replicate, to possess the one thing he can't have.
It's like that scene where he unveils the almost finished Futura to Joh Fredersen. It's chilling. You get this sense of Rotwang's growing madness, his desire to control not just the machine, but Maria herself.
And Fredersen, ever the pragmatist, is more intrigued by Futura's potential to maintain order than he is concerned about the ethical implications. He completely underestimates the power of the forces he set in motion.
He's playing with fire, and the whole city is about to get burned.
Mm.
But before things totally explode, there's that incredible scene where Freder follows Maria into those, what are they, the ancient catacombs beneath the workers' city.
Ah, yes, the city of the dead. It's not just a physical location, it's symbolic. It represents the forgotten sacrifices that built Metropolis.
It's like descending into the subconscious of the city, facing the darkness that's been buried beneath all the technological marvels.
Exactly. And it's down there that Maria tells the workers the story of the Tower of Babel. Think about it. What happens when ambition outpaces our ability to communicate, to understand each other?
It's a cautionary tale about the dangers of division, and it resonates so strongly today. We might not be building a tower to reach the heavens, but the digital age has created its own forms of division, hasn't it? I mean, think about it. The gap between the tech-savvy and those left behind, the echo chambers of social media.
Exactly. Technology, while a powerful tool for connection, also has the potential to isolate us, to amplify our differences rather than bridge them.
Which is exactly what happens in Metropolis. The rebellion, fueled by manipulation and misinformation, ultimately leads to devastation.
And that's the tragedy, isn't it? The novel isn't about a clear-cut battle between good and evil. It's more about the potential for both progress and destruction that exists within us all.
And the choices we make, as individuals and as a society, ultimately determine which path we end up taking.
Precisely. Metropolis challenges us to ask ourselves, what kind of future are we building? And what are we willing to sacrifice to get there?
Now let's talk about one of the most unsettling figures in this whole story, the Thin Man. He's like this phantom, lurking in the shadows, always watching, whispering, manipulating. He gives me the creeps.
And that's exactly the point, isn't it? The Thin Man, he embodies these unseen forces that shape our lives. The whispers of power and manipulation, right? The things that operate beneath the surface of everyday life. He's a constant reminder that things are rarely as they seem.
It's like he's everywhere and nowhere at the same time. You know what I mean? One minute he's working for Joh Fredersen, and then the next he seems to be in cahoots with Rotwang. So, who is this guy really working for?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's a question that von Harbou deliberately leaves unanswered. The Thin Man's true allegiance, much like power itself, is fluid, shifting, ultimately unknowable.
He's a constant reminder that we can never fully grasp all the strings being pulled, right?
Precisely. And that uncertainty, that sense of unease, I think it mirrors the anxieties of living in such a complex, rapidly changing world. Don't you think?
Speaking of anxieties, can we talk about that moment, that heart-stopping moment when the workers' city floods? Talk about an emotional gut punch.
Yeah.
Those poor children. One minute they're looking up at Maria thinking they're about to see heaven, and then bam, the next minute they're caught in this terrifying deluge.
It's a tough scene, and so powerful, I think, because it highlights the devastating consequences, of sacrificing human life in the name of progress. Those children, caught in the rising water, they represent the most vulnerable members of society, the ones who are often forgotten or ignored in the pursuit of power and profit.
It's a stark reminder that progress, without compassion, without considering the needs of all, can be just as destructive as any weapon.
Absolutely. And it's a reminder that we all have a responsibility, I think, to speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, to challenge systems that, prioritize profit over people, and to strive for a future where everyone has a chance to thrive.
It makes you wonder, in those moments, who do we turn to when the very systems designed to protect us fail? Where do we find hope when facing such overwhelming odds?
Well, that's the ultimate question Metropolis poses, isn't it? And while von Harbou doesn't offer any, easy answers, the novel does suggest that hope lies in our shared humanity, in our capacity for empathy, compassion, connection. Even in the darkest moments of the story, we see these glimmers of hope in the actions of characters like Fred or Maria, even Josephat.
They refuse to give up on the possibility of a better future,
Yeah.
right? A future where the head and the heart, reason and compassion can finally coexist.
Exactly. And it's that belief in the power of human connection, that refusal to succumb to despair, that ultimately lights the way forward, both for the characters in the novel, but also for us, I think, as readers, as people grappling with the complexities of our own world.
So as we emerge from this deep dive into
Right.
Metropolis, what are we left with?
I think we're left with a renewed sense of the power of storytelling, how it can illuminate the human condition, challenge our assumptions, and inspire us to create a more just and equitable world.
Because Metropolis is a timeless reminder, isn't it? A reminder that the choices we make today will shape the future, and that we all have a role to play in creating a world where technology serves humanity, not the other way around.
Because ultimately, the city we build, both literally and metaphorically, will be a reflection of the values we choose to prioritize.